Hello and welcome to the trade setup. In this video we are looking at Redwire. This was a stock analysis request from one of the followers and I wanted to let you know that anyone can make these requests and I will most likely cover them, especially if there is an actionable trade setup to follow. Now, we have already covered this chart before and I have provided you this exact area of support which has now been broken, and it isn't necessarily impossible for us to still follow through, but it is suggesting that this structure is rather likely going to fail. Yeah, very rarely do we see the wave 4 retrace even below the 61.8% retracement in a diagonal pattern and still succeed. Now, it could still work out within a couple of other interpretations, but they wouldn't be high probability scenarios for me, okay? So what other scenarios I could be looking for that could still allow for the continuation to the upside would be either where this third wave would not be complete, and we would either have something here like an ABC structure to be unfolded within this wave 3, and we can be tracking this idea, but I'm telling you it is not a high probability interpretation for me, okay? Especially because since we have here a clear ABC pattern, we have to build an ABC pattern here as well. But what else could this be? Well, I could also consider this overall structure to the upside an ABC movement, in which case, or honestly even a WXY, in which case we may have a full pattern to the upside and we need to be prepared for even new all-time lows. Now, in that case, we will be tracking the pattern to the downside that seems to still be ongoing, and I do actually prefer that this movement extends a little further now. Yeah, I have the structure that suggests to me that this movement to the downside is not yet done, but of course we can still track this ideology, this movement, this pattern to the upside, where as long as we hold the 78.6% retracement, we can still track here a somewhat reliable wave B, but again, not within a highly reliable structure. Then what other pattern could I follow to the upside? Well, I could follow this as an ABC as part of a larger wave 1, but honestly, if this shift into a larger ABC structure was a severe decrease in the quality of this chart, well, that would be a double down, basically, an even worse setup to be looking for. Yeah, a larger ABC in such a structure in a larger wave 1 would be a much worse quality setup than even this one. So we won't even really be looking at that interpretation at the moment. Right now, we are focusing here on the short time frame to the downside, and within this structure, we haven't necessarily broken any high expectations. Yeah, we have barely gotten here to the 100% extension of the wave A of what we were tracking in the yellow interpretation, which isn't a problem. That is the ideal target for the wave C. But as I was saying, within this structure to the downside, I could easily still see further extensions, and to the point that this could turn into a series of 1-2-1-2 setups, and then we could follow a third wave to the downside. So at the moment, I am prepared for further extensions lower, especially as long as we don't manage to break relevant areas of resistance, and then also secondarily as long, probably, until we form a larger 5-wave structure to the upside. Yeah, if we manage to build such a structure, we may have a somewhat more reliable trade setup, but again, it would be within this time frame. Yeah, from a large time frame perspective, this is a quite low quality chart. Now, to pick up from where we left off in the previous video, we were looking here at the third wave possibly bottoming. We got a slight extension after we posted the previous video, and we would have needed to slightly adjust the area of resistance, but again, it followed through quite perfectly, where we pushed into the wave 4 into the 38.2% retracement. We pushed slightly above it, but then retraced, or maybe not even retraced, because we pushed into or below the larger area of support that we were tracking here in the red interpretation. Now, in this case, I am at the moment still tracking this movement to the downside as a wave 5 until I get further evidence that this would turn itself into a wave 3, and within this pattern to the downside, I am basically tracking a 1-2-1-2. Then this would be for me a third wave down. I'm looking here for a fourth wave up and then a fifth wave to still extend lower, and then I would need still another 4-5 pattern to complete the larger 5-wave move to the downside. On or in this structure to the downside within the wave C in yellow, I am overall tracking an impulse, which means that I am looking for a 5-wave move to the downside within this 5th wave as well. At the moment, I am in fact tracking an impulse internally, within it, and in that case I would expect here in this wave 4 retracement to hold below the 50% retracement. Yeah, if we break here above the 50% retracement, it would be a signal to me that this structure is likely either complete within a different interpretation or not following the ideology of an impulse forming to the downside. But so far, from this current bottom that we have, we pushed higher in the wave 4 perfectly into the 23.6% retracement, which is the first level of resistance, and already we got rejected. Yeah, and we have quite a serious candle to the downside today, where we may have even started the fifth wave that should complete the larger wave 3. Yeah, this larger wave 3, and once this is done, we need again a fourth and a fifth to complete the overall larger pattern. Now, once this is done, we may need to assess once again if this is indeed a fifth wave to the downside, or if this is an even larger pattern, which would in turn form a larger 1-2 setup instead of an A-B pattern, and this would form an even larger third wave to the downside that again could easily, very easily take us to new all-time lows. So while we have here this area of support, it is not a high probability setup, but this is what we can track with the highest hopes for a reversal to the upside at the moment, in my opinion. And for now, these are the levels, this is the trade setup. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, don't forget to subscribe and let me know what else you want me to cover, and I'll do my best to do that in the days and weeks ahead. And until then, I hope you have a nice day, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.